guys, welcome to Texas REIAs. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We've got a lot of great stuff to be able to share with you. I'm Shenoah. I'm the president and founder of Texas REIAs, and we're expecting a very full house tonight as we get started talking about what's happening in the marketplace right now. We're very much in what I call an upside down market, so a market like we've never seen before. There are a lot of disruptions in this market, which creates both a little bit of worry, a little bit of fear, a little bit of uncertainty, but also an incredible amount of opportunity, right? So that's how I look at it. So for me, I've been investing for almost 2 decades here in Texas, and I've got a lot of experience working through all of the different market cycles. In fact, I was just calculating, I've invested through about four or five different presidents, several different, senates, congresses, Supreme Courts, different laws that we've had here in Texas when it comes specifically to the things that we can do, the things that we can't do. I think when I first started investing, the contract that we used here was probably about a 5 or 6 page contract, and now it's a 11 or 12 page contract, right? So we keep adding to it. We keep creating, in some cases, barriers, and sometimes those barriers do create opportunities for us. So excited to be here with you all tonight, excited to be getting started talking about some of the different things that you can do when it comes to real estate and real estate investing. And I want to tell you a little bit about Texas REIAs. So we're the largest association of real estate investor associations throughout Texas. We've got over 80,000 different members, sponsors, vendors, guests that have walked through the door over the many years that we have been in service here at Texas REIAs. We meet every single month. We meet multiple times a month in Austin, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. So it's an opportunity to get together, to talk about deals, to talk about some of the different opportunities that we have that are out there, to talk about what strategies aren't working anymore and what strategies are working now. So it's one of the cool things that we get to talk about. And we also, for those of you guys who are interested in single family, we do single family. For you guys who are interested in duplex, threeplex, fourplex, and 100, 500plex, we do all of that as well. So excited to be able to share some of our experience. So for us, we do every single asset class. We are what we call asset class agnostic. So if it has an opportunity to make money, we're going to dive into it. So that means for us, we've got several rental properties, we've got several fix and flips, we've got several new builds, we've got several properties that we own with other investors, so multifamily, over 1,000 doors. And we do this as part of the investing with the other members as part of this Real Estate Investor Association. Love to have you guys join us on the socials. So if you are looking for different ways to stay in contact with us, different ways to keep up on what's happening in the marketplace right now, what's happening with new contracts, what's happening with new forms, and how you can best win as a real estate investor. Highly recommend you join us on some of our social sites. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we have a podcast, all that stuff. So love to have you guys join us in those ways as well. So for me, I'm not a YouTube person, but I'm a podcast person. So every time I do a workout or a walk, I'm always listening on my podcast to get more information, to get more knowledge. And we want to kind of meet you where you are at. So for me, I'm probably a little bit more on Facebook than I am on Instagram, but I recognize that so many of you guys are also on some of these different channels. So I want to make sure that we reach you guys where you're at. So specifically, we want to make sure you guys are up to date on the latest forms, on the latest contracts, on the latest laws, and what that means to you guys as real estate investors. So want to make sure, number one, that you don't lose money. Want to make sure, number one, that you don't get yourself in any legal trouble as a real estate investor, because there are a lot of things you can do wrong that might put you in a position where you might get in a little bit of legal trouble. So want to make sure that you stay safe, want to make sure you're using the right forms. Occasionally I'll run into an investor who's been investing for a while but just doesn't have the network and the knowledge surrounding them, so they're using a form from like 2004 and it's missing a few things, and some of those things are things that could get you in trouble, and some of those things are things that can allow you to get out of a contract that you might not otherwise be using. And as we go through the meeting, also want to make sure that you guys know some of the different resources that we have for you, and some of the different formulas that we use for both our single family investments as well as for our multifamily investments. So I have on the screen, for those of you guys who are in the room with me live and or on our YouTube and can see it, but for those of you guys on our podcast, you may not be able to see this. So I'll go ahead and tell a little bit about what it is. It's our real estate investor maximum allowable offer formula. So for us, we use a 70% of ARV minus repairs formula when we are buying our buys, fix, and flips. Now, this formula works really great about 80% of the time, right? Just like any distribution curve, there are things at the tail end that I won't pay 70% of ARV minus repairs for, I'll pay less. There are things at the other part of the tail end, houses that are much more expensive, where you're typically making somewhere between 10 to 15% of your ARV in profit. So on a $500,000 house, where you're making somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000, can you afford to pay a little bit more than that 70% of ARV minus repairs? And the answer is yes. And of course, we have just an incredible opportunity of being in a market where we're seeing those values jump up, and we're going to talk about the market as we go through tonight and what the market has done over the last several months, as well as what we expect the market to do going forward. We only have one market in Texas that did not outperform the 2020 volume numbers. I'll let you guess to see which major market you guys think that was. We had we had one market that was up over 10% year over year in terms of sales volume. We had one market that was only up 10% in terms of average price. We have another major market in Texas that was up 30% in terms of its average price. So there's a lot of different things going on depending on which market specifically you are investing in. So for me, I'm a licensed realtor and broker in the great state of Texas, so that gives me a little bit of extra knowledge and know-how, so I get to download all the stats from all the major markets, and we'll go through that as we go through the meeting today. And I also want to let you all know that we're doing a live broadcast tonight. So we've got a couple of commercials to play about the Real Estate Investor Association, and I'll just say thank you guys all for being with us here live and in person. And I also want to invite the people who are online to join us live and in person as well. And I want to go ahead and tell a little bit about the Investor Association so you know what to expect when you come here.
Would you like to be a real estate investor in Texas? Come to one of our free local meetings to get access to free training, wholesale properties, capital, and power teams. Click on the link below to find a meeting near you and register for free.
So love to have people join us as part of the Investor Association, and every single time we get together, we share something new that's going on in the marketplace. We share different pieces of tribal knowledge, and we love helping you guys as you are getting started as well. And I'll just ask if it's okay with you guys. Do I have any folks that would like to kind of volunteer? Anybody who's working on a deal now, who's having a little bit of difficulty unscrambling it, having a little bit of difficulty in terms of what the next step should be, might be a little stuck, might have a seller that's unresponsive, might not be able to kind of figure out what to do next? Do we have anybody here who's working with someone right now? Who wants to be brave and wants to take the mic? You kind of look like you're thinking about it. Is that, yeah, you? You are. Okay, so I have a mic over there. So if you grab that, and then I'll see what I can do. What's your name, sir? Kobe. Okay, awesome, Kobe. So let me get the screen set up so we can, oops, sorry about that. Let me get the screen set up, and just, if you'll just stand right there, yeah, so we'll be able to see you right there. Yeah, that's fantastic. So Kobe, tell us what you're working on right now. Let's see if we can help you maybe patch a deal together, unscramble an egg, or do some of the different things that we do as part of the association.
All right, yeah, hi, my name is Kobe Green. I'm 20, and I do wholesaling. I'm new to it. I've been doing it for a few months now.
Kobe, so, I just have one question, and I think everybody else in here does too. So you said you're 20?
Yes.
So I'm just curious, what took you so long to get started? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, but I've been wholesaling, and then, so I'm actually working with the seller right now in Frisco.
Okay.
He has a nice house.
You have everyone's attention in the room, I'm just saying.
Yeah, so I've been going back and forth with the seller, and I got it under contract. I just don't know what to do next. So I just been moving and just doing what I listen to podcasts and just moving like that. So I just don't know where to go now.
Okay. So you're kind of like a blind man in a dark room looking for a black cat that isn't even there, right. Quite possibly. All right. So let me ask you this question. So don't give the address because I can't vouch for every single person in this room, and I want to make sure your deal doesn't get hijacked tonight. Okay, in the meeting. Okay. But I do want to ask, I do want to understand, what is the ARV? So what's the after repair value of the property?
509.
509, okay. And then what are the repairs needed on the property?
So it's a 4-bedroom, so all the rooms and then the kitchen too.
Okay, so what are the repairs? Dollar amount.
I want to say, dang, where did I put I feel like the numbers I had was 60.
How old is it?
It was built in 02.
02, okay. And then how many square feet is it?
2,600.
2,600. Do you guys think 60 sounds like a good remodel? Yeah, so it's basically kitchens and bathrooms, right? Paint and flooring, yes?
The rooms, bedrooms.
Yeah. So, so if that's the case, tell me what you offered.
What I got it under contract.
What did you put it under contract for?
320.
320. What do you guys think about his price? What do you guys think about his price?
He's good.
Someone says he's good. Who else is pulling out their calculator besides me? Are you guys just doing it in your head? That's okay too, right? Who else? What's the offer, guys? What's the offer? Give us the numbers again, Kobe, so just so everybody can go through this exercise too. I'm going through it. ARV 509. Yes? What's the next step that we do, guys? Times 70%. Okay, so we get 356, 300. And then Kobe thinks it's about $60,000 in repairs, right? Yes? So minus 60,000 for the repairs means your offer should be 296. You've got it at 320. Are we okay with 320? I'm okay with 320. Why? Because at a $500,000 house, I'm going to make somewhere between I'm going to make somewhere between 50,000 and 75,000. So you've overpaid by 25K, right? So that still means I'm making somewhere between $25,000 and $50,000. Are you guys okay with that for Kobe's first deal?
Yeah, it's my first one. I'll take that.
Yeah. So Kobe says I'll take that. You're just going to stay right there with me, Kobe. So one of the things that a lot of new investors, especially wholesalers, have as kind of an issue is this idea of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. What do I mean when I say that? The seller and the buyer, right? So you've got the chicken, right? Now you got to go and get the egg, or I don't know, however you want to say that. So we have some people already who are raising their hands saying that they'll be the chicken. They'll be your buyer. I think they may be like bowling each other over to make this happen tonight. So I'm just curious. Do we have some buyers in the room? I don't really know. Yeah, one? Really? Are you guys in the right room? This is the real estate investing room. Do we have some buyers in the room? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay, maybe 4. The rest of you guys are in the wrong meeting. The AA meeting is down the hall. This is. I'm so glad I asked this question, because this is like, you know, when you get on an airplane and somebody gets on and says, "We're on our way to Dallas. If Dallas is not your final destination, please get the hell off the plane right now." So I'll say to you guys, if real estate investing is not your final destination, then don't forget we have exits to the back and exits to the rear, and your closest exit may be behind you. So what are you guys all doing here if you're not interested in buying a house? I know who the serious players are already, so because I know them personally. They're out there raising their hands, right? But here's what I want to tell you. It is a question of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. A lot of new investors will go one path first. So they'll find the deal first, and then they'll get a very short fuse on that deal. So let me ask you this question. How quickly do you need to close it?
Well, I got 30 days.
You got 30 days. Does he have enough time? Absolutely, yes. So you got plenty of time to be able to find buyers, and you're at the right place to be able to do that. Now, some people will say, well, I don't want to go and get a deal unless I have buyers. And some people say, well, I don't want to go and get buyers unless I first have my deal. So you're in a good position. But what I'll tell you, as well as any other investor in the room who's looking at wholesaling, is you've got to do and pursue what I call parallel paths, right? So you got to be pushing multiple balls up all at the same time, which sometimes feels uncomfortable because you don't necessarily feel an integrity if you go up to a room of potential other investors, right? And you're saying, hey, I'm a wholesaler, and I don't know, when a wholesaler comes up to me, I'm going to ask them some questions to figure out if you are a suspect or if you are a prospect, right? So if you've really got deals that you're working, or if you're just like, just got out of a, a real estate investor association meeting, right? Don't know what you're doing. So that excites me that you have that first deal. Now, let me ask you this. So everyone now knows what you have it under contract for. So what are you looking to wholesale it for?
I mean, it was my first one, and honestly didn't.
So it's your first one, so we can all take advantage of you. Is that what you? I didn't hear that.
I didn't even think it was that high. Like I said, I kind of just put a number that felt right. And
so you put a number that felt right. And tell me about how the negotiation went with the seller.
I mean, it was kind of tough because he knew that everybody knows that Frisco's kind of hot, so it was kind of hard. But after like working with him and stuff a little bit, the house has been vacant a while, and so he kind of was tired of it, kind of not.
Okay.
And so he saw that I was young, like, you know, so he tried to do the whole, like, give me the roundabout stuff, but I tried to be serious and show that I was being for real with him, so.
Did you grow some gray hairs or in the negotiation?
I mean, it took a few days, like, getting on the phone and then being at the property, but, I mean, after a while, he smoothed out, so.
Okay, so did you use the TREC contract?
No.
No. What do you guys think about that? You have something you want to say about it. How about I have something I want to say? Do you mind if I go first? So listen, licensed realtor and broker in the great state of Texas, license number 0518223. Okay. What contract do I have to use? I have to use the TREC contract. But I will tell you this, that even if I did not have to use the TREC contract, I'm still going to use the TREC contract, and I'm still going to recommend that for everybody. Let me finish, because I can see, is it Gabriel's? Gabriel's giving me a look like no. Here's why. I've seen a lot of people get in trouble not using the TREC contract because these one-page contracts that you're going to find online, they're fantastic, right? Except they miss out on a lot of stuff that sometimes happens. Like what happens if and this never happens in this state, right? Like tornadoes, hurricanes, you know, that stuff never happens here. And that stuff never like rips a roof off the house, and your contract does take an account for those things that go terribly wrong, right? It's something that I call a lot of those contracts online don't have a specific clause. You guys should write this down. It's very specific. It's called the OSHIT clause. Okay, that's what it's called. Yeah, you just write it down. It's yes, please, yeah, write it. And those come in really handy. So listen, is after investing for almost 2 decades, a lot of and being in front of rooms and helping real estate investors for many years, when I get something, it is an egg that has been scrambled up to the max. So people are coming to me and saying, Shenoah, can you unscramble this egg for me because I've screwed some stuff up. The seller's not doing what they said that they were going to do, or the buyer's not doing what they said that they're going to do. And I get to go to those clauses, right? Because I know how to unscramble those eggs because I've read that contract front and back 25 different ways with an attorney, so I know what it says, and I know how it can keep a seller under contract, and I know how it can keep a buyer under contract. So now you'll still be okay, except what's going to happen when you go to the title company? The title company is going to say, oh, wonderful, it looks like you pulled this right off the internet. This is going to be great. Now who's going to pay for, what is the title company going to ask? Who's going to pay for the closing costs? Who's going to pay for the creation of the new deed? Who's going to pay for the filing fees? Who's going to pay for the title insurance? Who's going to pay for the property taxes? Who's going to pay me, the title person, right? They're going to have some questions for you, so you're going to have to be ready to answer those questions. What's lovely about the TREC contract is, guess what? It answers all of those questions for you so that you're not trying to figure that out or renegotiate that later or cause you to lose a deal later. Now, here's the other, so I'll ask, what are you going to use for your wholesale agreement?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
please do not follow this man to the parking lot. Please do not take advantage of this man. So when you try to wholesale it to another investor, right? What form are you going to use for that?
Like the contract?
Yeah.
A TREC contract.
Does TREC make a wholesale agreement? No. Okay. Unfortunately, TREC doesn't really even like people who wholesale. And then, in fact, they have a couple bones to pick. In fact, they're actively picking bones with wholesalers right now. So when you are wholesaling the contract, what kind of language are you using when you're talking to other investors?
Well, I try to be as formal and not formal as I can.
What are you selling?
Oh, a house.
You're selling the house. What do you think Trek's going to say about that? Trek's going to say, it sounds like you are acting like a realtor, and I don't think you have a license. So when Trek finds you, Trek will fine you. And typically that fine is $5,000. Can I save you $5,000 real quick?
Please.
Yes? Can I save any of you guys in here who are also trying to figure this out? Can I save you guys $5,000 real quick too? All right, so you are selling your equitable interest in the property. Please write this down if you're not familiar with this term. You are selling your equitable, and somebody's going to write it down and hand it to Kobe too, because he didn't bring his notepad up here, okay? Kobe's like, oh yeah, you can grab it, yeah. So you're selling your equitable interest. You're not selling the property. You're selling the contract that you have on the property. Those words are very specific. So that's how, number one, I want to keep you out of trouble and not have you pay a $5,000 fine, because Trek, if you go to the Trek website, they have like this little running list of all of the different people that they charge these fines to, right? All the people who get in trouble just because they don't know. So that's why I'm so glad you are here, Kobe, and that's why I'm so glad all of you guys are also here if you're not familiar with this. So just want to make sure that you notate that you're selling your equitable interest, you are selling your contract, you are not selling the property. That's how I want you to advertise it to everybody. And then the other thing I want to bring up, and this is also very important, that is, what are title companies right now saying? What are title companies and the underwriters saying right now about wholesales? Anybody? What are they saying? Used to not say this, just started saying this a few months ago. That's why I'm so glad you guys are all here. And if you, so I want to make sure you guys get this. This is super important. Before did not have to notify the seller that you were wholesaling that property. Now they are notifying them, and they are in many cases requiring that the seller sign a form to sign off on the fact that you are wholesaling that property. What does that mean? That's a fun conversation, right? You're doing what? Here I am suffering. Here I am going to foreclosure. Here I am in bankruptcy. Here I am in divorce. And you're taking advantage of me? That's going to be a fun conversation, right? How do you get around that? Kobe's like, look at me. I got this. I'm 20. I got everything, right? But how do you get around this? How do you get around this? Because the issue here is that a seller can say, I'm not going to sign. And that is a way for the seller to do what? Get out of the contract without violating anything in the contract. That's a big deal. That could hurt you, right? Because it causes you to lose money. So what do we want to say? Do we want to call it a wholesale fee? Because that's the word that's triggering these title companies and the underwriters at these title companies. So do we want to call it a wholesale fee? What might we else we want to call it? We're creative real estate investors, right? We call it an assignment. Oh, that's going to trigger it too. Brokerage? We can call it a brokerage. Oh no! Oh no! We don't want anybody to get fined in here again, right? So what can we call it? We can call it a management fee or a marketing fee, right? Call it a management fee. Call it a marketing fee, and that way you won't be in a position that your seller says, "I'm not going to do this deal anymore," and they're not going to get in trouble for not doing that deal, which means they don't invoke any of the SHIT clauses, right? So they get off scot-free. So this is how you do this, right? And then how do you want to protect? I've got 2 minutes where I'm going to wrap on this. There's a lot more to go through here. Thank you for being, a round of applause for Kobe for coming up here. Yeah. So how else do we want to protect Kobe? How else do we want to protect Kobe to make sure he gets his assignment fee, which he hasn't told us what it is yet? How else do we want to protect him? Because are there some rogue investors out there? Are you the only person in the room who knows this, Yulia? Did you hear what Yulia said? Does anybody want to know what Yulia said? Yes. Memorandum of contract. Okay, that's one way. What's another way that we want to? What's another thing that we want to do? Non-circumvent and non-compete. So if you have someone following you out of this room and that says, give me the address of the property, right, and you don't know them and I can't vouch for them, there are only a couple people in this room that I can vouch for, right, But if I can't vouch for them, you don't know them, you give them the address, what might they do?
Go take my deal.
They might try and steal your deal, okay? So non-circumvent, non-compete will help with that, okay? Just a couple things, just a little 2 millimeter, switches here and there to make sure that you make money. Is that sound good?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this helpful?
Yeah, it was.
All
I
right.
appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Yeah. And guys, I'm gonna, Kobe, you can have a seat, thank you. And I'm gonna just make sure you guys know a little bit more about our Real Estate Investing Association.
Sponsored by Texas REIAs, the largest network of real estate investor associations in Texas. So if you have even the slightest interest in investing in real estate, come to one of our local free meetings to learn how. Click on the link below.
Awesome, guys. So thank you for that. And we're about to get started with the second part of the discussion here. So here we go.